Throughout the tapestry of human tales, the story of the Trojan War stands unparalleled. A grand epic where deities, legendary heroes, and human ambition converge. Venturing into this narrative, one is compelled to wonder. Were chronicles like Homer's Iliad the imagination novels of their age? Were they rooted in actual events, only to be adorned with poetic grandeur? Such tales remind us that our understanding of history often dances between reality and mythos. Today, we journey beyond the legend to seek the truth encased within the fabled walls of Troy. You're listening to Casual History. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Casual History. I'm here with my time traveler brother, Jacob.
That's
Welcome.
right. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody, for a brand new episode. I'm super excited to kind of jump right into the story today. Apparently, there's a lot of stuff to cover, so I'm excited.
Yeah, there's quite a bit to cover, and there's not too much to go over. I think the main points that I wanted to mention were, of course, we have social media. If you guys are interested, we've been posting a lot of extra behind-the-scenes stuff. Behind the scenes being more info around each story or podcast that we post each week. So on Instagram, we're posting some cool photos. On Twitter, we're also doing similar and some news stories. I've found really an enjoyment in posting on Twitter random stories that I find, and it's been fun to do.
Yeah, I've been watching them actually pop up, and I love them, man.
Yeah, I try to find context and photos, so that's been fun. So if you guys are interested in that, go check us out. Casual X History. It's the same for Instagram, YouTube, and our TikTok, which is also quite fun. We've been trying to dabble into the Gen Z world.
The Gen Z, just TikTok. That's it. That's the Gen Z world.
Everything else is too, but that's definitely our touch to be like, how do we do this?
Yeah, no, exactly. I know we've been posting everywhere, but again, truly appreciate you guys all for listening. And if you're ready, Jeffrey, we could just hop right into the story.
Yeah, let's jump in.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so let's set the stage a bit. I want you to close your eyes, Jacob, real quick with me.
Okay, got you.
Okay?
Close my eyes. Mm-hmm.
Picture the sprawling landscape of the ancient Mediterranean.
Oh, wow.
A shimmering expanse with azure waters lapped against a mosaic of lands, each with its own tale.
Wow.
Situated at crossroads of major trade routes, the city of Troy wasn't just a symbol of prosperity. It was a melting pot of cultures. From the winding Nile of Egypt, the bustling streets of Mesopotamia, to the far reaches of the Indus Valley, goods and knowledge converged upon Troy's markets.
Wow, it's almost like I'm there.
I know, right? This whole thing is trying to put you in the world, Jacob. You're the main character today.
Oh, wow.
So as vibrant as Troy's history and culture were at the time, it's essential to remember that much of our knowledge today, I want to say this as a preface, is based on a blend of archaeological findings and ancient texts, and the image of Troy that we have today is a culmination of centuries of retelling and scholarly interpretations. So glimmers of gold, copper, and lapis lazuli to be the descriptions of this are going to be, some of them could be conjecture, some of it could be based on reality, and I'm going to try to pinpoint when we're talking about something that might be a little out there, or obviously if we're going to be talking about, like I said, the chronicles, like Homer's Iliad, the novel that kind of is the thread of a lot of this story. I do want to preface it all in that light, that it's a story, but it also kind of jumps between myth and truth, and kind of leaves you wondering, and at the end of it and through it, what was real? Was it a real battle? What actually happened? What was the dynamic? And I think it's really cool to see how people have interpreted and retold, and how we have the image of Troy. I can't help but think of the movie Troy.
Yeah, it's a great movie, actually.
It follows us. Obviously, it's following this story, right? So if you've seen the movie, you may know some of this, but there's going to be a lot that is new information, and I'm going to try to present some of the real, depth of each story or each place that we're talking about or character that we're talking about, and try to present something maybe not a little different than what we've done before, but again, recognizing that it is dancing on the line of this could be myth, this could be true, and it's kind of what we now have to look back on. So for good or for bad, this is what we think of Troy as, you know?
That's our bread and butter, Jeffrey. We ride that line every podcast.
Exactly. And so to continue with kind of building the scene around Troy, it had a strategic position at the time. It overlooked the Dardanelles Strait and not only made it economically pivotal, but it was also a buffer between the Mycenaean world and the emerging Hittite Empire. And so within its walls, a rich blend of culture, spirituality even was evident. Grand processions, feasts, and rites took place at its temples, but its very prominence also painted a target on its back, making it a coveted prize for ambitious kingdoms. Which, let's just caveat something real quick. I want to maybe understand, what kind of kingdom would you rule, Jacob? Do you have a location? Or maybe let's say, what kind of ruler would you be before we get into...
What kind of ruler would I be?
Would you be bloodthirsty? Would you be
I don't know, man.
Power hungry?
If we go by video games, like, that's the funniest thing, because I feel like in real life I am like very, very empathetic to people in general, but like anytime it's like, hey, what's your scenario, like where I play a video game where I have those choices, I always go full evil. So I really don't know where I land on all of that. How about you? What kind of ruler do you think you'd be, Jeffrey?
I think, just to respond to you, so you're saying you'd be a conqueror. You'd be a ender of worlds. like
God, that's pretty extreme. In my head, like I think in truth I would be a more like empathetic king. I think I'd be a good
What's
king.
The word I'm thinking of? Benevolent?
Is that right?
That sounds wrong.
It sounds wrong coming out of my mouth too.
I completely discredited everything I just said.
Yeah.
I think
a king that doesn't give speeches. That's what we're clarifying now.
I would have a political decoy act as me, and me be the real puppet master. I would be the conqueror of lands, probably.
Yeah.
I think I would be. I think if I had that power at this time of like history, I probably would want more.
And I don't want to keep adding caveats to this, but I also imagine who we are now are based on our outcome or how we were raised. So imagine now being raised knowing that you're going to take over an entire country from like birth, right?
Right.
So like, how would that shape your personality and the stuff that is already in your personality right now? Like, who knows what you might become, man? I could see that potential there for a scary ruler in you, Jeffrey. I'm not gonna lie.
I do. I mean, there's a reason. I think there's a lot of reason why a lot of people look up to like the movie Troy and Achilles. You know, you see him as this kind of untamable figure of power. You know.
Yes.
God, but let's jump into the story. So, in a world like I just set up, right, where the trade and diplomacy spun delicate webs between mighty kingdoms, the heartbeats of two individuals would set it all ablaze. Helen of Sparta, with her, there's a fun description here, and again, you know where we're pulling this from.
Yes.
With her flowing tresses and captivating presence, was the object of admiration and envy. Her reputation echoed far beyond her homeland, and the grandeur of Sparta's marble halls and the whispers of courtiers formed the backdrop of her life.
Wow, a life that's a beautiful description.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't write it, but I'm
that's
quoting
really
that.
good. It's really good.
And so across the sea from Troy, again, if you've seen the movie, you know the scene. If you haven't seen the movie, please go watch it. But across the sea, the vibrant city of Troy sits. And in that city is a man named Prince Paris. At this time, he was making a name for himself, not as a mighty warrior or shrewd diplomat, but as someone who yearned for more than the legacy of his birthright. His, as they described, sun-kissed skin spoke of days spent beyond the palace walls, and his curious eyes were always on the horizon, searching for something or someone to satiate his thirst or for adventure. However, one must note that the colorful details of Helen and Paris come largely from the poetic renditions. So historical accounts rarely delve into such personal intricacies and obviously speak with this language, right? So while the geopolitical consequences of their union are undeniable, the personal nuances of their relationship are crafted from later narrations.
Gotcha.
And so the story goes, destiny brought these two people together, not in the bustling marketplaces of Troy or at the courts of Sparta, but during a clandestine encounter. Their connection was instant, and Paris was captivated by Helen's beauty and intellect, while she was drawn to his passion and dreams of the world beyond her gilded cage. A classic love story, Jake.
Yeah, love at first sight.
Beauty and intellect in the woman, and a man who knows no bounds.
Sounds like a beautiful setup to a really insane story.
And a tragic outcome, I guess. Or I guess it is tragic. It's a drama, And so
people died, Jeff.
A lot of people died.
A lot of people died.
For their love, Would you continue on? Let's say you were told no by your father to marry your wife. I won't say her name right now. She's not going to listen, is she?
Yeah, she might. She probably will.
Okay. Let's say, Jacob, your father, you're back in this time period, and he says you can't marry her. It would cause a war.
Wow.
Would you marry her anyway?
Yes, of course.
Wow.
Regardless of, no, I'm just kidding. I'll just the consequences that I know are coming down the road. Yeah. I don't know, man. This one's pretty wild. I don't know if I can condone that, but I mean, I hypothetically would.
I think that's smart to sit in the middle. Don't pick a side where she can hear you. Again, you can completely say no, Jake, because this is imaginative. You don't actually have to decide.
No, it's yes for sure. For
Okay.
sure it's a yes.
Okay.
Run away, marry the woman of my dreams.
Well, they didn't listen to their counsel, and so Helen and Paris eloped, and this didn't just ignite their own passions. They set alight a political powder keg of kingdoms. So some that were bound by honor, pride, and oath all found themselves pulled into a conflict that promised to reshape the geopolitical landscape. It was no longer just about a prince and a queen in love, but a cascade of ambitions, strategies, and long-standing rivalries that threatened to consume all of the Aegean and beyond. And so, as we delve deeper into the story, again, I always like to follow this up with a caveat. It's crucial to discern that the layered sources of our knowledge, while the Iliad tales and other recounts of this story give us a rich dramatic narrative, archaeological and historical records offer a more nuanced, albeit more fragmented view of this era. Okay?
Gotcha.
So, word of Helen and Paris's elopement didn't ripple merely through the corridors of power. It roared like a tempest. That's a fun description that they put in there.
That's a great description.
The kingdoms bound by ancient pacts and shared cultural ties were already in a tenuous geopolitical landscape. So balancing fragile alliances and simmering rivalries, Helen's elopement with Paris wasn't just viewed as a personal slight, it was a direct challenge to the honor and political equilibrium of the age. And
Still would do it.
Okay, so you say. Sparta, led by the aggrieved Menelaus, called upon its allies. The oath of Tyndareus acted as a beacon, summoning leaders such as Agamemnon. That's it. Sorry.
Agamemnon. Yeah, you're doing a great job. I would totally stumble through this. So you're doing fantastic, by the way.
I'm working my way through. So Menelaus' brother, essentially, and the powerful king of Mycenae, historical records and ancient pottery shards offer glimpses of a coalition of Greek forces mobilizing at this time, signaling a massive military campaign on the horizon. While the romanticized tales speak of reclaiming Helen, the historical undertones suggest a deeper motive. So control over the vital trade routes Troy dominated were maybe more at the center, but again, you wrap it around a love story and it becomes a tale for the ages and maybe lasts longer than just this guy wanted Troy. These kingdoms wanted Troy for the political power and the trade routes and everything else that came with it.
It's all about money, Jeffrey. It's all about money. I think it's very interesting. Please tell me, I don't know if Achilles is going to be in your story moving forward, but I'm so pumped for this. I think it's going to be really interesting. I don't think I've ever had like a full breakdown of the story of Troy. Of course, I've seen the movie. I've seen
Right.
like little like chunks of it, but that seems to like sum up my time here in casual history too. I feel like I say that a lot, but genuinely I have like little chunks of like information. So I'm excited for you to kind of pull those pieces together.
That's why we're here, you know?
Yeah.
Shine a light into your dark brain with patches of history.
I'm going to pretend like I'm not insulted by that and just move
Yeah.
move on.
Achilles is in the story, obviously, with the chronicles of,
yeah.
you know, Iliad and the other poetic renditions. And I'll touch more on it later, but the general consensus is kind of murky on whether it was based on a real warrior,
Right.
or you add in the mythos, right, of the gods, and you make it divine purpose that this happened, right?
It doesn't matter. I believe, Jeff. I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, you know, you're allowed to think what you want to think.
Yes.
You know? And so to continue on the story, also I did want to just kind of, there was an interesting caveat and around Helen, right? So when it's talking about pulling together the ties of kingdoms, I read somewhere essentially that all of Helen's potential suitors at the time, so
were they
whether
losers?
that be obviously
losers,
but they all had a pact that essentially said if Helen were to be taken or some sort of dramatic thing happened, like happened with Paris, that they would it's an oath to vengeance and to bring her back. So let's say she had 10 suitors or 5 suitors. They are entrenched in, they're obligated to go get Helen and bring her back
start
home.
A war.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Like those ties are interesting to me and the reasons why. And obviously that being one was just a funny, like, imagine you having 5 people wanting to marry you, right? And they're saying, if you ever leave this town and you go to Europe and they take you away to Europe, I will single-handedly gather the titans of all of your suitors and bring you back.
That sounds terrifying. Just an army of exes coming to rescue your ass.
At this point, they just want to be your partner. They're suitors, Jacob. Come on.
It's almost worse. It's almost worse. I don't know. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
Also a little suspicious, Jeff. I mean, maybe it's part of a tradition. It might just be like a general tradition of like, hey, we protect this woman who we're trying to go after, like regardless, you know, we want her to be safe, and that's just an always thing. Or a little suspicious that this happens, and then obviously what ends up happening to her goes through. Like, it's kind of wild.
Yeah, it is an interesting, a bit controlling, I think. You know,
a little bit. A little bit.
They didn't have, you know, social dynamics that were maybe healthy.
But it sounds like they meant well. You know, it sounds like they meant well.
Yeah. And so as the story unfolds, right, as days turn into weeks, a vast armada of ships numbering in the thousands, if the tales are to be believed, assembled at Eleusis, preparing for war. Ancient inscriptions indicate that such large-scale mobilizations were unprecedented, giving credence to the gravity of the situation.
One woman, man. What a woman will do to a group of men.
Right?
Unprecedented. The amount of ships, I'm sure it must have been an awesome sight to see, actually.
Either way, it was used as the linchpin, right? Yeah. It was used as the spark, whether it was really that involved in this actual like the actual factual history of it all, or it was added in later to make it romantic.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? But Troy at the time was no stranger to conflict. Given its strategic position, the city braced itself. Priam, the wise old king of Troy, knew that the impending war was more than just about his son's romantic escapades. It was a battle for survival, sovereignty, and the very essence of a Trojan legacy. The city bolstered its defenses, and the allies from nearby regions pitched in. Possibly even the distant Hittite Empire were called upon. It's kind of vague there. But the initial skirmishes that happened and unfolded as this war began were brutal, with neither side giving an inch, essentially. Heroes rose on both fronts, such as enter soundbite if you have one. Jacob, do you have the soundbite ready?
I've got a couple.
give me the give me the one with him speaking.
I got you.
Is there no one else?
Yep. There is
there no one else?
Is there no one?
No one.
Yes.
That's a great clip.
So,
I love it.
Such as the hero and legend Achilles.
Yeah. Heck yeah,
And
I'm so excited.
I'm going to butcher this word. I've been confident all the way through, but I think I'm going to butcher this word, but I'm going to try. Achilles and his myrmidons, were forces of nature on the battlefield. So Hector, the crown prince of Troy, emerged as the beacon of Trojan resistance, embodying hope and valor.
Wow.
And so, however, as months turned into years, again, something that the movie really condenses.
Yes, they do.
Of the story, it became evident that this war would not be won by sheer might alone. A siege is as much a test of endurance and wit as it is a combat of prowess. And so it was during these trying times that Odysseus, another famous name that you'll probably recognize for anyone who's, read it a little bit more into this story, with his strategic brilliance, conceived of an idea, Jacob.
Okay.
An idea of subterfuge that would go down in history as the
thing.
Don't you dare spoil my setup.
Go for it.
Let me repeat that. A subterfuge that would go down in history as the epitome of cunning warfare. The Trojan horse, while often regulated to the realm of myth, finds echoes in historical accounts of sieges where subterfuge played a critical role. Whether a real-life massive wooden structure or a strategic ruse, the essence of the tale remains. A deceptive ploy was used that promised to end the stalemate. And so, as this monumental gift was rolled to the very gates of Troy, a city that had withstood a decade-long siege, the future hung in the balance. Would the Trojans, with their renowned wisdom, see through the subterfuge and mystique? Or would this be the final nightfall of one of history's most legendary cities? We're going to go to ad break. We'll find out a lot more.
I'm so excited. Let's do it. Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got the platform that allows you to make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money. All in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters allows you to record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. And then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else that podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, and with Spotify Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel like having options like video podcasts and question and answer polls has allowed me to be creative on a whole nother level. I highly recommend that you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Welcome back from that ad break. It is now September, so we do have an ad. For those who listened to the last podcast before September, you probably were thinking, you said you had an ad and there was no ad.
Yeah, like wishful thinking, guys. That's good.
Wishful thinking, manifestation. Don't worry. I talked to support. Yeah. And they told me it just didn't enact until the next month. So,
wow.
If you listen through that ad, which is a big step for us guys, you're supporting the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much. Seriously, like on a genuine note, I know we're goofing around, but like that really does mean a lot to us that you guys are listening and you do support us. That helps us do more of this, which we love doing this, recording this podcast
allows us to spend more time here. And as we were saying with time, a decade-long war was about to be disrupted, and someone was about to win this war due to, as you put it, let me. You can't see my hand motions. A giant wooden thing.
I was picturing it in my head, Jeff. You could see it. You could see it by my hand gestures. I know you can't see that on the podcast, but we were just kind of chatting a little bit during the ad break about, I was just thinking, like, if you survived being duped like this, like someone better not let you live that down ever. Like you just you
I
spent
don't.
years keeping them out, thinking, yeah, we're safe, we're good, and then all of a sudden, a giant wooden toy shows up to your doorstep, and that's your downfall. That's it.
But here's the thing: the fact that we're talking about it means
Yeah,
they've never lived it down because
yeah,
they're
that's
all
true.
gone and dead.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
true.
story prevails. And
Yeah.
also, I do want to caveat, the whole wooden, like
More
I already did.
caveats?
No, I want to reiterate that I'm trying to be historically accurate for this
Yes.
podcast, and also ride the line of the story, which is fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to weave in and out, but I do want people to not think that I just believe everything I'm reading here. Obviously, the Trojan horse itself, that I know of, there's no evidence directly to a horse, wooden shaped, object that was rolled to the gates. It could just be, like I already mentioned before the ad break, a ploy, some sort of lie, some sort of subterfuge, as again was the prominent word used to win. Whether that was someone sneaking in and locking the gates, and then they made it seem to be this big ordeal that they duped them. Whatever it is, it's it's TBD. Okay,
Right. It could have been a giant wooden, elephant. It could have been a giant wooden bunny. We don't really know. We weren't there.
Rabbit.
A
As
rabbit,
Monty
yes.
Python.
I
would
tried
say.
to find so hard to find a clip for that because that immediately popped in my head too. Like,
I
is
love
anybody
that
in
movie.
there? Dude, it's so good. It's so underrated. Or
You,
maybe
me,
it's
Lancelot, and I will jump out.
and they're behind the hill.
Yeah.
They pushed it all the way to the center gates.
Yeah.
Oh man,
For those who don't know, Monty Python, the Holy Grail, worth a watch.
it's worth it.
But that's not why we're here today, Jake. We can go
No.
back to that time period. We can time travel to that time period another time. We're
Okay.
talking about the city of Troy. Okay.
All right.
And so, as this ruse was unfolding, the streets of Troy, once resonant with the laughter of children and chants of trades, now echoed in silence that night. With the massive wooden horse, which is a symbol for what we're talking about, ruse, was standing tall at the city's heart, celebrations commenced, viewing it as a symbol of the resilience. Maybe they are giving up, white flag, unusual white flag, and many believe that the Greeks had finally conceded defeat and left, leaving the
And this was
horse
their
as a
parting gift.
tribute. But the truth, as history and myth conjoined to narrate, was far more sinister. Historical accounts and analysis of the area hint at various Trojan insiders possibly being instrumental in persuading Priam and the Trojan council to bring the horse within the walls. Whether it was due to a ruse or a lie, Greek spies within the city, or merely an underestimation of the enemy, the fateful decision was made. As the night deepened and the crescent moon cast a silver glow, the belly of the horse stirred, and in the cover of darkness, its hidden occupants, an elite force of Mycenaean warriors, led by the cunning Odysseus, emerged. Ancient scripts and pottery fragments depict the dramatic sequence that followed. Gates were silently opened, and waiting Greek forces rushed in, catching the city completely and utterly off guard.
All right, I got another sound clip for you, Jeff. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, a little dramatic, but very, very probably what happened that night, honestly, which is
You wouldn't
insane.
be hearing the strings, but you would be hearing the screams.
Yes, that's right.
Which is quite terrifying to think about.
Yeah.
So what followed was a conflagration of epic proportions. I think I said that word right. Hey,
I think so.
While the tales of Homer and Virgil speak of grand duels between legendary figures and the tragic fall of noble heroes like Hector and Achilles, archaeological excavations at Hisarlik, believed to be ancient Troy, have unveiled remnants of extensive fire damage, providing tangible evidence of the city's catastrophic end. So Helen, the face that launched 1,000 ships. How do you like that as a tagline? Imagine that being your Twitter bio. Helen, the face that launched 1,000 ships.
That's a good Tinder bio, actually.
Yeah, it is. Found herself once again in the midst of swirling narratives. Some poetic accounts depict her reuniting with Menelaus, their past differences set aside, while others suggest a more complex conclusion with her place in history forever to be debated.
Wow.
So that was the fall of Troy. There's evidence of fire. There's evidence of some sort of ruse that happened, whether that was an actual wooden boat, horse, ship, animal, whatever it may be, and led to the destruction of Troy. And so the aftermath and conclusion of this story is that while the ashes of Troy's destruction fell, the broader geopolitical landscape of the Aegean underwent seismic shifts. So the end of the war didn't just signify the fall of a city, but heralded the decline of an entire age.
Wow.
Historians note that in the subsequent years, many Mycenaean palatial centers, including Pylos and Mycenae, faced upheaval and eventual decline, possibly due to the internal strife of external invasions while they were away at war. And
Wow.
so the return journeys of the Greek heroes, especially that of Odysseus, as chronicled in the Odyssey, emphasized the personal toll and the sweeping ramifications of the war. While the walls of Troy crumbled, its legacy has endured. And so,
Wow.
following Troy's downfall, its ashes whispered of tales of a bygone era, creating ripples throughout the Aegean. The Hittites, with vast ambitions, and Anatolia saw the power vacuum left by Troy's fall as an opportunity to expand. But for the Greeks, the war's end was but a prelude to further trials. And so the unity they had forged at the time to fight Paris and for Helen splintered upon returning home. Many heroes, similar to Odysseus, found their kingdoms in turmoil due to opportunistic leaders taking advantage of their absence. And this is one thing that does align with historical records, indicating the decline of the Mycenaean civilization around the 12th century BCE, hinting at a period of immense upheaval for the region and the world.
All because of a woman, man. All because of a woman.
Right.
I want to know how many wars in general in history were started by just like
but is
something
that
like
propaganda?
this.
I wonder.
Right. Who knows if it's real?
Propaganda, the woman being involved, is that propaganda to just be like, we started this war because we wanted
it's
it?
her fault.
It was a war. Exactly.
It's her fault.
It's her
she
fault.
did
Yeah,
this.
okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay. But some info on, again, some of the sources and some of the actual evidence that have come up around this story as we're kind of wrapping this up.
Okay.
Homer's Iliad and Odyssey provided civilizations with narratives to understand the tumultuous events. And so characters like Achilles and Hector became emblematic of human strength, frailties, and the myriad of emotions in between. So their tales influenced thinkers for generations. So this cause and effect, one way or another.
Right.
Bridging time through discussions about fate, heroism, and the human condition. While the Greeks considered these accounts historical, which is an interesting fact, like note, again, propaganda, right? Like you either believe your own history or you don't. The Romans, influenced more so by Virgil's Aeneid, I think that's how you say that word, adopted them into their foundational myths. So there lies the truth in it from people who believe it and the myth foundation. So the duality of the legend in history underscores the profound resonance of such stories across time, culture, and age, just like we're talking about this now.
Yeah, that we're still talking about it right now.
For sure. And the Renaissance, funny enough, there's some fun notes here. The Renaissance actually revived Europe's thirst for classical knowledge. And amid this Renaissance, the enigma of Troy's existence persisted and kind of really came to life. Heinrich Schielmann's excavations at Hisarlik, guided by the Iliad, which is kind of fun to think about. It was guided by that story.
I didn't know that was the case.
Yeah, and it was kind of the use case of what it was, they were exploring, and it actually revealed layers of civilizations through his findings, including the purported Priam's treasure. So bridging the world of myths with tangible history. And so again, it kind of rides that line again where it's like, well, here's something true from this chronicle that we can find. And again, just kind of weaves this really interesting pattern of myth, fake, real, and what was actually being, told
Right.
and trying to be expressed, I guess, in the narrative of it.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I didn't know that it was kind of like a mix of both. I thought that at least what it sounds like is obviously there's actually evidence of Troy existing, something happening, this whole city going down, but obviously some of the more nuanced versions was kind of came later. And so I wonder if even the Greeks themselves utilize these stories as like warnings later on. Like, because I think that's where legends kind of come from in general in history, is they're
Yeah.
passed down as like almost like lessons, right? Hey, don't make the same mistakes as the past did, kind of stuff. And I just
So
wonder,
to summarize, you're saying this story is saying, don't fight over a woman.
yeah, yeah. Don't make a pact with your buddies that if someone that you like marries someone else, that you have to go. No,
but it's kind of heroic,
It is kind of heroic.
It gives you a bar to rise to,
That is
which
true.
is something nice. Everyone does need a bar goal, as however you want to put it, to a Helen, symbol to rise to and to fight for, which I think is interesting.
What was her? Like the face
Helen,
that
the face that brought 1,000 ships, or
wow.
no?
Yeah,
Let me hold
something
on.
like that.
Let me write it back up and see if I can find it. The face that launched 1,000 ships.
Wow,
that's a pretty good one.
I mean, it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and so that's my story for today. That
Nice.
was the Legend of Troy, and I hope you learned something if you're listening to this. Not just you, Jacob, but I also hope you learned something from this. And I found it super interesting. I love the movie so much; it's one of my favorites. I put it on randomly just because when I want to feel like a gladiator or when I want to feel powerful, I put on Troy or Gladiator.
Dude, so good. No, both of those movies are great. I mean, great story, but needs more Achilles, Jeff. Just needs more cowbell.
True. I think the reason why I didn't want to dive too much into the mythos and gods is because I am saving an episode. I want to do a full deep dive into the mythos of, the ancient gods and those sort of like demigod stories. And I think it would be an interesting, again, I know we're riding the line of true history and more so, I don't know what you call this, historical myth,
right?
But it's kind of still history because it's something we know about from time, but we can't quite prove it's factual,
right?
Or it might be completely fabricated. So I think there's an interesting world there that we can kind of play in sometimes, and one of them I want to really dive into would be that world of demigods and the stories of the gods, and kind of maybe we can connect. And again, you guys who are listening, tell us if this would be an interesting deep dive, or maybe even a series of episodes we could do, or I would love to do.
I would love to do like a casual history series on something big like that. I know back in the day we were doing stuff on like the Egypt stuff because there's so much to unpack there. I think this would be another one of those.
I would love to do a revisited episode to that as well.
Yeah.
There's quite a few things I think we've talked about already, but we have a long time if we keep doing this, hopefully, to bring back and to talk about more stuff. But
yeah, I totally agree. Awesome.
Well, thank you guys for listening to this part of the story. We're going to wrap up the history part. We're going to jump into
our
the recurring segment, which I found to be so fun. And it seems like the people who've listened have been responding. They've been, again, I just want to put another note in there. If you're responding on Spotify, that's really cool. I think it's really fun to see your answers on the polls and to respond to, like last week I asked if anyone believed in aliens off of the Project Stargate. And I think we got quite a few responses, not quite a few. All of them were resounding yes, absolutely.
Really? So, that's awesome. Dude, I love that we're all sharing that we believe that aliens exist in some format. And so I think that's really awesome.
We're curating a fun group of people, I think.
Heck yeah.
But let's jump in. I know you have something new for us today, so you want to start? Let's start with Leo. Are you there, Leo? Do you have something for
Leo,
us?
can you go ahead and introduce our game for us, please?
Greetings, my temporal vagabonds. I'm Leo, your resident history ghost. Now, prepare yourselves for a game so riveting, it'll make you wish you had a flux capacitor. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Time Traveler's Roulette. Name that year edition. Here is how to play. We've got a smorgasbord of historical events, and your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to guess the year they happened. No pressure, but the fate of the space-time continuum may or may not depend on it. Scoring. Guess it right without any hints, and you get a full point. Use a hint and still manage to guess it. You'll earn half a point.
Okay.
The grand...
Oh, Leo wasn't done speaking, but that's fine.
Oh, it
That's
wasn't
fine.
done? That felt
No.
like a good ending point.
It was a good ending point. No, there was a big pause there. So that's kind of the general game. Is it's going to give us 5 different events that happened in history, and I'm going to be terrible at this, Jeff. So I'm excited to see who comes out the least
Dude,
worst.
I think I'm gonna also be pretty bad. But
Yeah.
we'll give this a go.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just going to be trying to guess the exact year that these events happened, and if you do struggle, which I know we will, we have hints that should give you like another event that basically happened in the same year.
Okay.
I'm gonna kind of mark it as like if we get within 10 years, then that's a point. If it's
Let's say
outside
within
of that
25.
mark,
Let's say within
within 25. Okay,
think
that's a
that's-
pretty wide marker. No, okay.
For anything
mean-
past the 2000s, anything I think within 25 is acceptable. I think anything like 1990 on, we have to be within
Yeah.
like
Okay.
a year.
All right. So
I
that's
think
a
that
good
gives
point
a
there.
fair reference to where we're at.
All right. So are you ready for the first event? Try
I'm
to guess
ready.
with me, Jeff.
I'm
Right.
ready.
So the first event is going to be the year of the Great Fire of London occurred.
Okay.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I have no clue.
I actually have a good sense of this.
Do you? Okay.
Mainly
Okay. Can we
because
work
I've seen-
together? I know this is a game against us, or should we still
Wow.
be competing?
I mean, we can work together. Sure.
we
can try
might
to suss
might
this
need
out.
help.
I know it's in the late 16th century. That's what I know.
Ooh.
But I'm
okay.
trying to think of what the range is and what would be smart because I don't know the exact year, right?
Okay.
But for some reason, I can't remember what I saw. If it was a documentary or was part of a TV show that then referenced it.
Okay.
This is my guess. If you want to go with me, this is where I'm guessing. You can
Okay.
feel free
You go
to
ahead.
please. I'm gonna say 1692.
1692. Okay.
I
So
might be a little. I don't. What if I'm completely wrong? This
well, we're gonna find out. No, here I'm gonna actually queue up this answer for us here. So let me do this here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna guess. Man, I mean, your guess is way better than mine. My probably the range that I would go. I'm gonna go in the 1700s. Then I'm gonna go 1731, maybe just as a random guess.
I'm pretty sure. I think I'm even a little too high. I think it might be closer to 1650 than the late, but I'm just going within a 25-year period. We'll go with
Okay.
that. What do we got?
All right. So let's see here. So no hint. So the great fire of London occurred is 1666, Jeffrey.
Let's go.
Wow.
Wow, I
Dude,
feel
that was
pretty-
great.
Pretty good. Wow. That feels good.
As I'm looking over the other answers, I'm feeling a little bit better, but that one I was like, I have no clue. I have zero
Yeah.
on where to go from that. So
Okay. So do I
all
get
right,
a point?
so
Yeah, I'm within.
yes, you do. You get a point.
Am I
That's
within
point 1 to
16?
Jeff.
What was he? 1666?
Six.
So then, 20 years. Yeah, I'm just on it, dude. I'm at the mark.
Wow. 1
Because I
point to
said
you, Jeff.
92. I said 92, 1692, and it was 25 years from that. It would have been, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
good job, dude. All right, so moving on to the next one. The year the first iPhone was released.
2007.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's where my brain went, but I'm gonna go
let's go.
one lower because I'm gonna try to get it exact. I feel like you think it's 2007. I'm just gonna be right around that, so I think I'm gonna do 2004. I'm gonna do 2004 and see if
Four?
that works.
That's too early, I think, right?
Yeah, it probably is, but we're gonna find out who's closer.
Okay.
Also, we do have hints, so I do have hints queued up
Okay.
from Leo too. So if we do need it, maybe we can just play one and just see if
Yeah.
that like hurts our answers here. So
I
let's
just
play this out.
remember when I got the first iPod Touch. So that's where my brain goes to 2007.
Yeah,
And I
might be too.
probably was wrong, but go
I
ahead.
might be too
What's-
early.
What's the
All right.
answer?
So here's actually the hint first, just so that we can hear it and see if it changes our answer.
Here is your hint. This event happened the same year Twitter was launched to the public. Here is your hint.
Okay, so that means Twitter was launched to the public. I do think you're correct. I think it is. I'm going to say 2006 then. That's where I'm changing it.
Wait, you changed
officially?
it. You already gave
Yeah.
your answer, Jake. You got to stick with it, son.
2006.
Okay. We'll allow for the change because you used your hint.
Answer for 1, 2. All right. Let's see what the real answer was, Jeff. 2007. Right
Let's
on
go.
the dot.
Let's go, man.
Jeff,
I am smoking today.
you are, dude. You guessed it exact. So I mean, that's
and that was immediate too.
You.
That's immediate. I think it just ties to my childhood when I got the iPod Touch, and 2007 is like a vivid memory.
Yeah, that first one too. Like that was mine initial too. Was 2006, 2007. But yeah, I know I had to go around you. Okay, so good job. So that's 0.2 for you. My gosh, I got to get on the board here. The third one is the year the Titanic sank. So I feel like I should know this one, but I don't exactly.
If we're working together, here's the thing. I feel like I should know this. I know it's early 1900s, but I don't know if it's before like the Great Depression, or if it's like, I don't remember. Like I'm trying to remember in history class and like where typically they followed, like if we were following through history, we'd like work up from the 1900s, and I can't remember if we learned.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably go embarrassingly early.
Where are you gonna
go? My brain automatically. I'm just trying to go with my gut. My gut tells me 19. I was gonna say 19, like around 1911 initially.
Okay.
But yeah, gosh, I know that's gonna be like way off. But yeah, do you have a guess?
No, I was thinking within the 20 years. Like I was thinking within 19. I can't remember. So this is a complete guess. So I'm going to say 1915.
Okay, 1915. So we're all around the same area here too. Let's at least we can even listen to the hint too to see if it changes anything.
Yeah.
Here is your hint. This event happened during the presidency of William Howard Taft.
Oh yeah, I know presidents so well, so that totally clears things up. So Taft. Okay, I think I'm sticking with my answer though. I think I'm just gonna put my foot down at 1911 and just hope that it's close enough.
Yeah, let's just lock in our answers.
All right, let's do it. So let's see what the real answer was for this. Here we go. Yes. Sorry, the roundup. Okay. Oh, it was 1912, Jeffrey.
Nice.
Was the year that Titanic sank.
So
wow.
You got that one.
Said
2-2 right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I was closer to that. So all right, so it's 2-1. You're still up. You're doing great. There's only 2 more events left that we can guess.
Okay.
All right. So number 4 is the year Nelson Mandela was released from prison.
Oh, I know this one.
Do you?
You know why? You know why? It's because there's a movie with oh my god, with not Leo, what's Goodwill Hunting, Matt Damon. Matt Damon's in it. And this is such a bad way to know this, but there's a movie about rugby.
Invictus, right?
Yes. And that whole movie, yes. So I know this, I think. Watch me say this and I'm completely off. I know it. So I'm going to let you guess first because I
don't. I really
me.
Don't know. I have no idea. I'm totally blank on this.
Guess.
Guess. It's gonna be embarrassing.
Go.
19 gosh, is it 1972?
Jacob, it's 1972.
Yep.
Okay. 1990.
1990. So it's way sooner.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was like, because again, the movie, I remember the movie and like the timepiece it was set in, and it was about obviously Nelson Mandela and the time and the whole like political climate for the rugby team and why it meant so much. And anyway,
I trust you, but let's see if that movie is correct.
The soundtrack of that movie is incredible too. That's also why it sticks in my brain.
That's a good point. All right, so the answer for the 4th one is going to be 1990.
Let's go.
Good Lord.
Let's go.
I can't believe I guessed so low. Oh, I knew it was going to be. I knew it was going to be embarrassing
flared
low.
Pants? No, he didn't go to flared pants. He came out to baggy jeans and Nirvana.
Yeah, God, I should have known that. Yeah. I should have been way closer to that.
Also, there's this YouTube channel that I follow. This guy named Neistat, not Casey Neistat's brother. It's Van
Oh.
Neistat, and he does a few videos on the book. This is a long-winded way of saying how I got here too. On the Fourth Turning, I think we've talked about that book before.
Yeah, we might have.
About the 80-year periods, and during this period, which was throughout the 90s, from like 82 to like 2008, was a period of revolution,
Right.
or like release or something. I can't remember the correct term, but again, I just remember that being a figment of it too, which was Nelson Mandela was released and all of these events that happened. But
Right. Well, good on you, Jeff. So that's
You're
3
like, yeah,
for
okay,
you,
we
1
don't
for
care.
me. Yeah. We're moving on. Listen, we get it. You knew the answer. So the last one, and I still don't have a chance to win, so it's totally okay. You've already won the game.
Let's go.
But this is for pride points. Okay.
Yeah.
This last one is the year the first Harry Potter book was published.
If you don't get this, I'm gonna just guess off the dome. I do not know this. If you don't get this, I'm gonna be upset because you read all of these books.
I know.
2002.
No, Jeffrey.
Probably earlier, right? Because the first movie came out in like 2002.
No, I gotta.
97.
Oh my gosh.
That's my answer. 97.
You think 97? The truth is, I don't know the real answer to this either. But I'm gonna. Watch it be 97. I'm gonna be so mad.
I think the first movie came out in like 2003.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting mixed up. That's where I'm getting mixed up because my brain goes to the first movie.
I think it would have been a few years after that. So that's why I'm thinking 1997 to 1999. And then like a movie deal happened, and then it turned into the first movie, and that took like a year or two to film. That's where I get my time frame from.
You're probably close to being dead on.
Let's give us a. Never mind. Let's go right at it. 1997 is my guess. You go.
Okay,
Jake.
I'll do 1998, and I hope that I'm closer than you. I hope it's a little bit.
Oh, you're just playing
sooner. I have to.
Defense.
I have to because I really think your answer is correct. But of course, let's give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh gosh, the nerd in me is going to be so mad.
Yeah, I don't even read these.
Jeffrey, guess what year it is?
96?
97.
So
good. How in the world did you do this?
Dude,
I'm so mad. I'm a bigger Harry Potter fan than you, 1,000%. How did this happen?
You heard my logic. I was talking through what I thought and why I thought it. Because I knew the first movie was around 2003, 2004. I figured a few year period to make the movie. And then I figured a few years after its release before it got the hype to make a book, like a movie deal.
Yeah, my brain was stuck on the first movies because I went and saw, like, basically that was my birthday gift every year. Was I went to go see the Harry Potter movie in theaters with some family members. And so that is stuck in my brain. I read all the books before that, but I didn't know when they were officially released. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. I'm still a big fan. But man, I can't believe you nailed it exactly. That is
honestly, I feel luckier, and I need to go to bingo. I need to go some sort of trivia game
right now. Like, scratch offs. Just get
pretty
started.
Crazy.
Wow. Okay, so I've got, and Leo also wants to say a quick thing to you as well. So
quick win.
And there we have it, folks. The time-traveling dust has settled, and our champion today is Jeffrey.
Bullshit.
Jeffrey, you've navigated history like a pro and earned yourself the Time Traveler's Trophy. To all our listeners, thank you for playing and tuning in. The wheel of history will spin again. But for now, Jeffrey, enjoy your well-deserved moment of glory. And there we...
Now, that's yeah. So even Leo, not even being sarcastic and thanking you for the win. So, okay, so what is this? As far as overall games, I've won 1 so far, and you've won 3. Is that the final count?
Okay. If this were an NBA Finals, you're 1 game away from going home, Jake.
I'm rigging next game. I'm rigging it for me.
I got to bring in a new co-host if you lose this next one.
Oh, dude, that'd be really funny.
You're 4-1. You're sweeped basically.
That is wild. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. I really thought we were both going to be equally as bad at this, and so I thought this would be really funny to see what our embarrassing answers were going to be. But I'm blown away, Jeff. Congratulations, good job.
Thanks. I honestly surprised myself on 3 of those.
Guessing exactly, just off the top, no big deal.
Problem
I didn't know
solving.
That. Right.
But yeah, anyway, let's wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you've made it this far, drop a line in the chat somewhere so we know you're a real one.
That's right.
If you guys do make it this far as well, just reiterating, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Kind of fun to see everyone's reactions and talk to people on there. That's been a fun new thing for us. But we'll be back next week. Jacob's bringing in the story. Leo will be back with a new episode
that I will win.
That he thinks he'll win. And we'll be back at it.